Thank you so much for stopping by this morning. I want to encourage you with a little bit today. My mom and I were talking yesterday, just kind of talking about the good old days, kind of the way things used to be. Isn't it funny how we remember things? And maybe we remember things a little differently. We were talking about just being disciplined and growing up that way. And she remembers a lot less of the whippings that I remember. And I remember a lot more. It's funny that we kind of look at it like those different ways sometimes. You know, we have a tendency to look back at our past, especially as older adults, as through kind of rose-colored glasses, like everything was kind of magical and everything was wonderful back in those days when we didn't have as much and all that. And that may be true, but maybe in some ways. But in a lot of ways, we just kind of make that up in our mind, and it's kind of a fantasy that we're now kind of created out of our past. Even though those memories are sweet, we don't always remember them exactly how they happened. I do a lot of funerals as a pastor, especially over the years, and I've never once heard anyone say a negative word about the person that I'm doing the funeral for. And of course, that's the way it should be probably during those times, but you would think the person that you're doing the funeral for, man, they're just saintly, close to perfection kind of people, because they never did anything that was negative at all in their life. And of course, that's the way people are. That's the way we are as humans when we want to remember things, is we want to remember the best. And that's probably okay. But I want to give you some encouragement today, because I don't know about you. I was thinking about this morning from yesterday, the governor, just expecting him to kind of release a little bit more than he did. And we're kind of have this stay-at-home order for 2 more weeks. And I was frustrated. And I was like, God, what are you doing? You know, and then in the midst of that, I remembered the promise of God. And I remembered what Paul kind of gives us a rose-colored lens to look through if we are in Christ. And he says in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, he says, "For we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, those who are called according to his purpose." He says all things work together for the good. And I love that if you're in Christ, if you have a relationship with God through Jesus, then you are having things on your end worked for by a God that is doing things that you can't see yet, that you can't imagine. And it's the good things, it's the bad things, it's all things work together for the good. And I want you to remember that today, even if you feel isolated or lonely and you're just sick of this, or maybe you're frustrated or you're sick, whatever it might be, that God is using all those things and he is working them for your good and for his glory. And I know sometimes that's a struggle because the trials and the difficulties, and there's kind of pain in the process of that. But on the other side, we can look forward as Christians with kind of these rose-colored glasses, knowing that the victory is already ours and that God is faithful to do what his word says he's going to do. And he says he will work all things for our good if we are in Christ Jesus. So I want you to be encouraged with that today. Today, as you go throughout the day, look through that lens. As you look at the world, as you look at your life, as you look at circumstances, see the lens of a faithful God who is for you, who is working things out in you for his glory in all things. Hope you have a great day.